Osceola, where the wind comes sweeping through the trees, and the buried coal is very old. There might be something there. Uh, so I thought I'd do a little history lesson today. Very often when I'm on YouTube panels, you know, I'll have my name as the look in chat. It'll say Osceola Muckster since it goes by the channel name. Like when I'm up on the panel, it just says Muckster like here. But they always say, "Oh, Osceola, do you live?" If they recognize it, do you live in Florida? And or sometimes people who just don't know it at all, they'll go, ski, you know. So I thought for all those people that don't know why my town is called Osceola and why several other towns across the country are called Osceola, I'll just give you a couple minutes. First of all, let me just say it's natural for there to be an Osceola County in Florida, since that's where Osceola lived. But I know right here in Pennsylvania we have two Osceolas. There's Osceola and Osceola Mills. And the way one became Mills was because the post office basically back in, 1405 or something said we can't have two Osceolas. So, out of generosity, we here said, you know what? We do a lot of lumbering, we'll add mills to ours. I know there's also an Osceola Street in Pittsburgh. There's an Osceola Street in New York. There's an Osceola, we switch between Osceola and Osceola. There's an Osceola in Nebraska. I think someone said Wyoming. They're all around, especially like with street names and that. Now, the reason why, well, first of all, let me just show you. This is Chief Osceola. That's a painting, of course, because that's from the 1830s. And this will be news to some of you. There were no cameras in the 1830s. Although it wouldn't be perfectly unreasonable to think there were, since they were definitely around by the 1860s, because we have photographs from the Civil War. But anyway, that is Chief Osceola. Let's just flip over here, and I'll just, the top of this page tells you about Osceola. Notice it says during the 1830s, he was a Seminole warrior. Sorry, I forgot to flip over. But anyway, I'll just leave him there while I talk about it. So what it is Osceola was actually born in, there's some controversy that most historians think he was like from Alabama. His mother was a Creek Indian. His father was Scottish. And Osceola, when he was a kid, was known as Billy Powell. But later on, he embraced the Native American side and became, well, I guess it'd be when he went down to Florida and joined the Seminoles that he got the name Osceola. Now, I can remember somebody locally saying that Osceola meant rising sun, but when I looked it up here, because this is one I wanted to do a minimum amount of research on, I already knew the basics of them. I wanted to make sure I had the dates and stuff. This says, where did I see that? It's on this page. The name means black drink singer, because the Seminole Warriors had a purification, right? Where you drank a black purgative, 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 they purged liquid brewed from yapon holly leaves, whatever that is. But anyway, for some reason, it doesn't say why, but he must have drank it and started singing. And so they started calling him Black Drink Singer. So basically, he moved down to Florida to get away from the damn pale-faced soldiers. But pretty soon, the soldiers decided that they wanted to screw with people in Florida too. And they wanted to send all the Seminoles to a reservation, which, by the way, the Seminoles back then, well, the Seminoles, as I remember it being told, well, and I didn't bother reading it here, but they weren't actually originally a tribe. They were basically a bunch of outcasts from other tribes, criminals or just people that went down there to be in the swamps, the Everglades, anyway. But Osceola was down there, and when the army started encroaching, the Seminoles decided to fight. And Osceola kind of became a war leader because he was very good at tactics. And so this small kind of ragtag tribe fought the army off for quite a while. And here's a reason to, I believe it was in 1838, they invited Osceola to a truce meeting. They had a flag of truce, peace meeting, I guess you could say, under a flag of truce, and he went to talk to them, and they arrested him, and he ended up, let me go back and look at that, because he died in prison, I guess, in 1838. Now, let's get to why my town and towns all over the country are named for him. Some reporter published the story, and people all over the country were outraged at the army doing that to dishonor the white flag that way. So there were towns and streets and everything all over the country named Osceola. So if any of you even locally wonder why it's called that, I should hope anybody who went to school here, they're still being taught Osceola history. But someone from Florida might wonder, why is there a town in Pennsylvania? Because they might not even know about Chief Osceola. They just know that they live near Osceola County or whatever. There was somebody out in Nebraska saying, well, that's our name. Why does somebody have the same name in Pennsylvania or Florida? There you go, folks. Chief Osceola, war leader, betrayed by the U.S. government like they've always did to all the Native Americans. How many treaties do you suppose we broke over the years? How many smallpox blankets did we hand out? How many buffalo did we kill? I mentioned this the other day on the panel. We were talking about civil rights and the Native Americans. A lot of people don't know this about the buffalo. We all know about the buffalo being hunted out. And you'll see westerns of the great buffalo hunters and all that. A lot of people don't realize, and I wasn't planning to talk about this, or I would have looked up the guy's name, but it was actually a planned thing by the Secretary of War at the time, I would assume under Grant, to purposely kill off the buffalo to starve out the Western Plains Indians, because that was a major source of food Not to mention that they used, the skins and all parts of the buffalo. And so he said, we killed a buffalo. We won't have an Indian problem anymore. So there's a little something for you. And while I'm at it, might as well mention another thing we did. We kidnapped lots of young men, drug them back east and put them in terrible boarding schools, forced them to wear civilized clothes and speak only English. And they're basically trying to take the Indian out of them, make them nice, good, civilized pale faces. I suppose I should have probably queued up the song Cherokee People, but go by Paul Revere and the Raiders. Go to YouTube and listen to that. It's about another atrocity, the Trail of Tears, when the Army decided to move the, I believe that was the creek, out and take them to a reservation out west, and they had to walk hundreds of miles, and all these people were dying along the way. Yeah, we sure are nice to the people who were living here when we came and discovered the land. So anyway, folks, that's Osceola. I hope you got a little learning here. And I'll say, peace out.